If you're anything like me, then winning Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments is a common occurrence for you. Now, I'm only kidding about that, of course, but nowadays I feel that it's gotten a bit too easy to show up to any tournament, play the best deck of the format, and walk away with a respectable top 4 placing or better. Although winning is fun, I wanted to put myself to the test and see how well I could do with the less common strategies in the game. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tcg Sam, and I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh competitively for over 6 years now. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh content creator that makes content on the competitive side of the game, and in this series, I'm going to be challenging myself to win a tournament with pretty much anything except the best decks out there. I'll be adding in extra challenges to make it even more interesting for you to watch. Will I be able to outperform the best decks at these tournaments? Or have I just thrown away any hope I had of ever winning a tournament again? Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. As you saw from the title and the thumbnail of this video, we are going to be playing only going second this time at locals, and that's kind of crazy because normally whenever you win the die roll, you want to go first, set up your board. But in this video, we're flipping things around and we're actually choosing to go second no matter what. So that means even after siding, we're gonna still choose to go second, even if it may be more beneficial to go first. But yeah, with that being said, let's just quickly go over the deck, and you'll see the deck profile playing in the background so you have a better idea of the list that I played. But in general, the going second Plunder Patrol deck does require you to see a combination of Plunder Patrol cards, of course, but also going second cards, so a lot of hand traps and board breakers to actually break through your opponent's board and then start establishing your Plunder board from there. Now, the reason why this would even work in the first place is, one, because of how powerful some of the board breakers like Evenly Matched and Kaiju Slumber are, but also because the Plunder Patrols function very well going second. In fact, they may need to go second to function most of the time, in the sense that they need to take attributes from your opponent and what they have in order to summon out your bigger ships from your extra deck. So that means when you go second, not only do you get the extra card, not only are you able to crack their entire board sometimes and leave them on low resources, but also just means your plunder cards are alive more often and you don't have to just sit on like a single plunder monster turn 1 and try to turn that into a ship or something on your opponent's turn. So that's why I decided to go with the going second plunder version. Like I said, we're able to break boards, we're able to play plunder to like its greatest strength, but also at the same time, like, we don't care if we lose any die rolls. Like, I'll mention later my matchups, but I believe like I won 1 die roll out of the 4 I played, and like I went second every time. So if you're playing a deck that's already built to go second, then that's already perfect for you. But with that being said, I'll hop straight into the feature match now and show you guys how we do in it, and then go over our matchups after that. It seems like no matter what the format is, we just can't escape from the Shizu tier, because that's what we're playing against in this match. We do end up losing the die roll, and our opponent's going to start things off with a copy of Diviner. Diviner is incredibly strong in the new version of Shizu tier, so I decide to stop it. Stops him from getting a potential level 6 tuner for either a copy of Beatrice or a easier Baron, as well as it stops him from being able to send a mill 5, because now they rely a lot more on the milling effect of the Shizu cards to actually be able to get their play started. But however, they do have access to Foolish Burial Goods and a copy of Planet already, so they're going to be able to add Vice's Starfrost and a Shiren from their deck to their hand. Activate the Shiren, getting rid of the Merly, milling Hellshadal, Hollow, Sulliek, as well as a Scream, which is incredibly strong. Like, he gets 2 powerful mill effects. The Scream is going to let him add Meta Noise. Hellshadal Hollow mills an additional 2 cards from his deck, and then he's going to be able to resolve the Shiren effect to Fusion Summon using the Hellshadal Hollow for a copy of Winda, set 2 and pass it over to us. We unfortunately don't have any going second cards at the moment, so I decided to dig for it by discarding Bluebeard. Bluebeard effect's going to discard Nibiru to help me draw an extra card, and we do draw into a Kaiju, which could break through the Winda, but the problem with my hand is I don't have a way to extend past a single Meta Noise, so all I can do is Kaiju the Winda and hope that I'm going to be able to stick a monster on the board, and he's going to let me do it. But unfortunately, he just Meta Noises my normal summon right away. And then from there, he's going to be able to summon out the copy of Dragostapelia. And he's going to Synchro Summon using the 2 for a copy of Baron. Pop my Whitebeard, negate my Whitebeard effect, summon from deck. And this is just enough damage for game on the board. So we do end up scooping this one and moving on to the next one. Once we're side decking, I decided that I'm going to stick to this challenge and only go second when I have the choice. So in this matchup, even though it may be beneficial to go first, I decide to make him go first. I take out the Nibiru's in my deck and put in a couple Twin Twisters and Harpy's Feather Duster, just in case he does put up some of his trap cards as well as his Puerto Reno field spell. But other than that, our deck remains mostly the same since it's already built for going second. So at this point, I let him know that he's going first, and he expresses some shock. I guess he didn't expect me to make him go first, which is great, I guess, because it probably means he sided incorrectly. He's going to kick things off by starting with a copy of Fenrir. Fenrir is going to let him add any tier or Kashtira monster from his deck to his hand, adds another copy of Fenrir, and just sets one and passes. So a pretty weak start from our opponent. I assume his hand wasn't very good. If all he's doing is summoning Fenrir and setting one. We start off with the Desires and use a Terraforming to grab a copy of our field spell. And then from here, we're going to just Kaiju the Fenrir so we don't have to deal with it. Activate our field spell. Our field spell is going to let us discard a card to get our Plunder engine started, but our opponent does have the Twin Twisters to get rid of it. So a little unfortunate, but thankfully we do have the Golden Hair, which does save us here since it's able to just turn itself into Blackbeard along with a discard. So I'm going to activate Blackbeard to tag out into a copy of Jord, and then Jord is going to be pretty good in the simplified game state because every time he special summons, I'm going to be able to get a search, and my Kumungus actually locks his zones because he's not able to special summon Kashtira's when he has a monster on the board. Unfortunately for us, he kills our Imperm and our Blackbeard with a copy of Feather Duster, activates the Danger Nessie next, special summoning it. I do resolve Jord effect to add one Plunder from my deck to my hand, although unfortunately I don't get to summon one from deck because it's no longer equipped with a Plunder monster thanks to the Feather Duster, so all we can do is grab some follow-up through Black Eyes for the following turn. Our opponent's then going to overlay for Big Eye, which kind of shocked me. I guess they are both level 7s, which is kind of cool. And then he tribute summons for Fenrir and decides to just attack. Here he does forget to use Fenrir to add a copy of Kashtira Tearlaments, but we did have an Ash Blossom in hand anyway, so it really just wouldn't have mattered that much. From here, we do have access to essentially all the Plunder cards we need because we have Black Eyes in our hand, and that sort of gets our Plunder engine going again by adding back a card like Whitebeard. I'm going to Kaiju over his Fenrir first so we don't have to deal with it, and then from there I'm going to activate Golden here, getting rid of the Whitebeard in our hand, special summoning itself, and then Whitebeard is going to special summon out a copy of Black Eyes from our deck. I'm going to activate the Black Eyes in my hand to grab back one of the Plunders from my graveyard so I have some discard fodder. Then I'm going to Link Summon for a copy of my Blackbeard, and then from here I have the option to go into a couple of different things. I decide to ultimately go for a copy of Mork because I do need to clear this Kaiju from the board. I'm going to activate the field spell actually first to return this Plunder in my Spell and Trap Zone to my hand, and then activate the field spell to be able to search a copy of Emblem after I get rid of his monster. Emblem is great because it turns my Mork into something valuable, since my Mork no longer has something equipped to it, like I don't really have a use for it on the board, so I'm able to turn it into a Jord and equip the Mork to it. At this point, our opponent's down to 2 cards. We have an Ash Blossom in hand, and we have so much advantage. Our opponent's going to normal summon the Rhino Heart. We hit him with the Ash Blossom, and he's just going to concede from there. So we are able to take down Game 2, and moving into Game 3, earlier throughout the day, when I got into similar situations, I always assumed my opponent would make me go first because they've seen all the Kaijus and going second cards in my deck at this point. So I imagine they'd try to pull a fast one on me and make me go first or something, and that made me side in a bunch of cards that ended up being very unoptimal when they in fact decided to go first for that game. In this case, I decided to change up my siding patterns a little bit and just side out the Spell and Trap removal for 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier, so I have a good balance of going first and going second cards in my deck just in case he does choose to go first. And thankfully my gut feeling was correct because he does in fact choose to go first, and we're still able to have all those going second cards like the Evenly Matched and the Kaijus in our deck. So a great siding choice by me, I guess. But our opponent does get to go first, which is still pretty dangerous because I don't have a way to stop his Diviner. He's going to use the Kelbeck to mill 5 from both of our decks. He does mill the Tearlaments Kashtira, which lets him mill 2 more cards.
hits a Meta Noise. Meta Noise is going to grab back the Cashier Tearlaments, and that's really good for him because now he's able to mill 6 cards, and that sort of just kickstarts his engine because those mills were honestly insane. 2 tier names, the King of the Swamp, Soliek, Hellshadal Hollow, and Madoras or Keldo, so arguably all 6 mills were really good there. I don't have any way to stop this, unfortunately, so I'm just going to have to let him combo off and hope that our board breakers are just going to be able to do enough to push through his board. He's going to mill 2 more with the copy of Hellshadal Hollow, resolve both of his fusion effects to fusion summon, so he's going to bring out Kaleido Heart first, and then he's going to bring out a Rukalos as well. Honestly, with King of the Swamp, it just feels a little unfair how you can cheat out cards like Rukalos. But still, now that he's protected against Nibiru, like he feels comfortable enough to keep going with the Foolish Burial. He's going to send the Rhino Heart, and then from there extend with the last tier name being Havness in his hand. So this is kind of like a full gas turn from him where he's able to resolve all 3 Tearlaments' name and get set up. So he's going to summon out the Rhino Heart using its own effect, discarding the Havness. Havness is going to be able to fusion summon using the Hellshadal Hollow in itself, and then he's going to summon out a Winda. So a very scary board, and on top of all that, he's going to summon a copy of Baron. So he has Baron, Winda, a Tearlaments Scream, and a Rukalos. We go Battle Phase, activate our Evenly Match. It gets negated by Baron, but we do have the second copy of Evenly Match, so a huge draw for our turn. We're able to break the board thanks to that. He keeps the Winda, which is totally okay with us. We end up using the Black Eyes to attempt to add back the Whitebeard, and I'm hoping he doesn't use the Shuffler here because I want to make it seem like I'm not doing anything by adding the Whitebeard back. But it turns out by adding it back, letting me go through with it, I'm just able to normal summon Whitebeard, and I'm actually able to play on my opponent's turn now. Opponent's going to Tearlaments Cashier during the end phase just to get itself onto the board. And then from here, during the draw phase, I am going to activate Whitebeard just to play around a card like Talents and summon out a Morg. So now he's going to be very hard pressed to deal with my Morg, and now I have an out to whatever he's able to put on the board because we do have a handful of plunder cards. Opponent ends up summoning a Jackalope through its own effect, goes battle, kills my Black Eyes. That's totally okay with me. Sets a card, I decide to Morg end phase, get rid of the Tearlaments Cashier because I just don't want to lose to a random Tearlaments trap. And then we can also deal with the Winda on our turn at any time as well. So Morg is going to deal with the Tearlaments Cashier, and I think at this point we're in the driver's seat with an additional copy of Black Eyes. Our opponent's just going to shuffle back the Redbeard, which is exactly what I expected him to do. We did want to put the Redbeard back so we were able to summon it out later on anyways. But from here, I'm going to activate Morg, getting rid of the Winda, just so we're able to start playing once again. Activate the Field Spell, discarding our Field Spell from our hand to add a copy of Emblem. Emblem is going to be able to turn our Morg into something useful, and that's specifically going to be Blackbeard in this case. And that's because we don't need to use 2 monsters to actually make it. We can just cheat it out with the Emblem since we do have a water monster in our graveyard. Next up, I'm going to end up special summoning out the Redbeard from my Whitebeard effect, and then I have a copy of Jord as well. So during the battle phase, we're going to clear his monsters, activate the Blackbeard effect to equip Jord to my copy of Morg, and attack our opponent directly, and we're just in the driver's seat at this point. He's just going to end up conceding from there, and we do manage to take it down. So double evenly matched, although it was very lucky on my part, was able to definitely win me the game, and we take down our arch nemesis Tearlaments. So yeah, glad to take that one down. And now I'll be getting into the match results so you guys can see how we did in the tournament overall.
So getting into our matchups for the tournament, we start round 1 off with a 2-1 win over Plasma Heroes, so going first version of Heroes, which is quite surprising because there was a time where I thought Heroes were only a going second deck, but his build specifically focused on getting Plasma onto the board. It was a very close game. Game 1 I managed to take it down despite opening 3 Ash Blossoms in my hand. Game 2 ended up losing because we aren't able to clear his big Plasma when it's paired with like the D-Force card. It like gives it a lot of attack and protection. It makes it really difficult for us to clear it. And then Game 3 we were able to take it down in a very narrow win there. So we win round 1. Round 2 we play against Sprite. So Post-Banlist Sprite was interesting. He was still able to make Toad somewhat easily as long as he saw Swap Frog because of the link Bugushinki Ahashima. It was just a super grindy game for both of the games, so we ended up drawing that one, unfortunately. Round 3, I get 2-0'd by Brandon Despia. So game 1, I was in a pretty good spot. I had Ash to Brandon Fusion, and he just set one pass with like an Alibur on the board. But then I played really hard into a hard draw banishment. Like I was thinking about his sets, and I think I was able to play around Super Poly since all of my ships are like different attributes, so I couldn't get Super Poly. But I played it into the banishment because he could just make a Draco Sepelia using my Lys and my Morg. And that was just really unfortunate because it's a 1-up in the deck and he just happened to have it there. So I ended up losing that one. And then game 2, I just drew too many kaijus, and he had Branded opening in the graveyard to stop my slumber. So we weren't able to clear through his board, and we ended up losing that one, unfortunately. And then, of course, round 4 was against Tearlaments. You saw that in the feature match. We do take that one down 2-1. So overall, we end with a 2-1-1 record, so pretty solid. Not too bad. I think I, of course, could have played a little better in some of the games. But overall, I'm still pretty happy with how we did, considering we were doing such a challenging, having such a challenging restriction of going second on us. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Do stay tuned for the next episode. Next episode, I think you'll also enjoy. So hopefully you guys are able to look forward to that. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.